Thank you for calling 1-800 Sad Design. Welcome back to episode 19. Um, yeah. Ayden, how have you been? It's only been a week, but how have you been?
I've been good. Um, I got more information on that job I briefly talked about last week,
Good news or bad
and
news?
good news. I did get it.
Nice.
It's going to be just a temp position for my cousin when she goes on maternity leave. I'm taking over her work for 12 weeks, but it's still something.
Exciting. Hey, I mean, it could still turn into something, you know?
Exactly, and it's still that experience that, because I just need a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I did something else. So
Is it in person or
it's going to be remote.
that's even better, I feel like.
Yeah, it's
Well, I
for a
feel
global
like,
company.
okay. I feel
So,
like long run, it's nice. But I think personally, I would rather have in person, at least for my first job. But
yeah,
beggars can't be choosers. Job is
exactly.
job
I'll
in
I'll
this
take anything
in
at
this
this point.
world, so that's cool.
But I think it'd be nice to kind of be home for a little bit and I don't know. Might not be the most exciting work, but it's still design work and it's still a job. So,
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably still be fun. Probably can learn a few things. You just get to
for
design
sure.
more. Yeah,
Yeah.
any normal
And
hours
then
probably, right?
yeah, I get to choose whatever I want and just
Ooh,
record when I worked.
even better.
I don't know. So if I like one day I'm like, oh, someone wants to go do something, wants to go to lunch or something, I could be like, well, I'll just work in the morning,
Hmm.
take a long lunch, and then I'll just work later into the evening, whatever,
That's pretty sweet.
as long as the tasks get done.
Yeah. So is it like based on project is kind of like how you're paid, or just
It's
like
hourly.
uh, so you still have to work a certain amount of hours?
Hmm.
Okay.
So yes, if there's nothing to do, I just kind of hang out.
Yeah, I find that interesting because I feel like there are times where it's like jam packed with work, and then there are others where it's like
Yeah.
kind of slow, but there's still some things to do. And it's like when it's slow, you're kind of just floating around, chatting,
Hmm.
rather than
And
actually
I'm sure
working.
there, yeah, I'm sure too. There's those periods where you're like waiting for like feedback or something,
Yeah,
or for information, so you
or an
just like
approval,
have to
stuff like
stay
that.
online to wait for it, and yeah,
Yeah, just having your email open and just waiting for the little
yeah,
notification.
exactly.
But that's pretty sweet. You been working on
Yeah.
anything else?
I have that album cover that I'm working on for that local band. I need to finish that today so I can get the draft to them tomorrow for first round of edits.
How's that going?
It's looking pretty good. My Photoshop skills had to come in clutch with this one, and because I had this image in my head
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know how I wanted to like how I was gonna execute it, so I just had to keep messing with it until it was working.
Nice. Using any like crazy things, or kind of like keeping it relatively simple with the Photoshop
I'm
at
trying to
least.
keep it relatively simple. The hardest part was, I think, well, the main idea is that it's going to be like a king chess piece wrapped in barbed wire.
Okay.
And so I was like, I don't have time to fully illustrate this. So I did find a really nice image that I got the licensing to for the king chess piece. The issue was how do I wrap barbed wire around this? And I tried like AI, I tried sketching it on, but because it was like an actual image, like the illustration over the top felt weird.
Hmm.
So then I'm like digging, trying to find an image of like barbed wire just wrapped around something of a similar shape
Yeah.
of the chess piece, and then trying to get it to match around the
Yeah,
chess
I feel
piece
like
was a whole
that's
different
like the
story.
hardest part of photoshopping. Like when
Hmm.
people say like it's Photoshop, people normally just think of like taking two pictures and bringing it together.
No.
But actually, like, well, I mean, that's kind of that can be some of it. But the hard part
Yeah.
is like doing that, but making sure it looks right and the lighting is all the same. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's the hard part. But,
And that's what I'm running to right now. Like the picture of the chess piece and then the barbed wire, the lighting is hitting them differently, so it looks just a little off.
yeah. I mean, I feel like when it comes to stuff like that, I kind of avoid it. But I also don't think
Yeah.
I do a whole lot of work like that. I was gonna say though, if you did want to do like the illustrative barbed wire over the thing, I think what I've seen some people do is kind of like they either grayscale or monotone the picture, and then in kind of like a more contrasting color, make it look more like sketch work over it. I've seen
Yeah, I
people
did
do
think
that,
about that too.
but I also don't know how that works with the group and their actual music. So
Yeah, I did think about that too because I did see something similar like through Pinterest when I was just kind of trying to find images of any kind. But
yeah,
yeah,
but nice. Sounds
yeah,
complicated.
it
Sounds like it's
is.
keeping you
It's
busy.
testing me a little bit.
Gotta learn it eventually, right?
Yeah,
It's good to learn it, so
it's all good.
nice.
What about you? What's new in your world?
Uh, nothing really. Um, yeah, nothing really, actually. I just made these little, like, conversation card things yesterday, just because it was pretty much when I was trying to come up with the idea for the font of the week, I was like, what would be something funny? And originally I was going to do, like, a little business card thing, but it's not a business card, it's just a card you hand out to someone as, like, for fun. Like, it would say something on there. I don't know what it was gonna be, just because I was trying to fit the black letter look to it. But an idea came up of a conversation card type thing, so I made two of those yesterday, and it was fun. It was like one of those little things where I kind of just thought of it and actually made it,
Yeah,
and yeah, pretty much kind of was just messing around with that. So that was fun. Um,
fun little project.
Yeah, and it only took like an hour, so it was like pretty sweet. I was like, all right, and
And then you felt like satisfied that you're like, I did something.
yeah, I was like, this actually feels good. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the days like being a student, I would kind of just make something to make it, you know, like
Hmm.
there's no reason behind it or anything. So I feel like I'm trying to get back into that mindset. So it was like a good little ease into, and yeah, it was fun. So.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Nothing new.
nothing exciting at work. Same old.
I don't think so. I did get to engrave this like jet windshield thing though. That was pretty cool for
That is cool.
the Mount Home base. It was stressful, but cool. Yeah, it was like 9 layers of acrylic or something, and I was like, holy smokes.
Dang.
Yeah, and I was talking to like the people who like brought it in. They're like, yeah, it's got to be a bulletproof because like the jet rounds are like this big or something. And I was like,
Hmm.
that's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool talking with them. But yeah, nothing really too interesting at work. Um, yeah. So yeah, pretty chill. Pretty
Nice.
standard, I'd say. Pretty standard.
Standards, all
Um,
right.
yeah. I don't know. I always feel like I always just forget things that I do, or it's
Yeah,
like
I did too.
normal to me, where it's like I don't I don't remember it. So
I think you get in a job too after a while and you kind of just live in this monotony going on and on, same thing over and over again. So even if something significant does happen, you're, it kind of gets forgotten about.
yeah, it's like you do the same thing every day, so it feels like you're kind of living the same day every day, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I did the same thing I did yesterday. I was like, what was that? I was like, I don't know. So,
Yeah,
yeah, fun stuff. It is.
that it is.
But okay.
All right, move into our design talk today.
Yes.
I think today we thought it would be interesting to talk about like video creation, storytelling, whether that's like music videos, show outros, intros,
Yeah.
short content, title cards, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not so much graphic design, but more of like the eye of videography, I guess. Or
Mm-hmm.
just because when I kind of watch YouTube videos, movies, or shows, it's like there's some shots that are like really well thought out where it captures a lot, and so I kind of like those. And then there are some that are like in YouTube videos, they're kind of like so janky, and you can tell like they put it all together quickly, and but it still came out relatively nice. So yeah, and then you see it a lot in like vlogs. I feel like some shots in vlogs you can kind of tell like it's obviously staged for like the video,
Yeah,
but um yeah.
I think there has to be for video. Like obviously we have some of those skills, as designers, but it takes so much to do video that you really have to be into it, I feel like,
Yeah,
to do it.
I feel like if you're
Because
not
there's
100% into it and you're like meh, I feel like it's a lot harder.
yeah,
Um
I definitely have like interest in it and I've done video projects before, but I always like reach a certain point in them when I'm like, why am I doing this?
yeah, I have like a little project I want to kind of like work on that's video related, but I don't really know. I feel like I'm going to do it eventually because it's just like one of those little fun things and it's like just to make it.
Hmm.
But I feel like the things that I'm visualizing are so complicated that I don't have the skills for now. So it's like once I get into it, it's going to be like a rabbit hole of tutorials and all that, which I honestly I'd be fine with
Yeah,
because I do actually want to learn all that stuff in like Premiere and After Effects, but I just feel like it's a lot.
it is. And with video too, I feel like it's very important that to think about, you know, all that needs to go into the final product. So you have to go into like the concept. You have to find all your images or materials you need. There's
Hmm.
just so much that you need to capture and to, acquire before you can even begin. I remember like my first video project in school. Um, it was required of us to do like a storyboard of like all the main shots that we wanted to capture in our video. And so I don't know if that's a practice of a lot of people who are into video, but it was actually kind of helpful because it was like a guide
Yeah,
of,
I think it's
okay, I'm
just
here and I need to get here.
it's kind of like how when we do certain projects, we just make like thumbnails and all that.
Hmm.
Um, I do think that the little like storyboards are pretty useful, and I feel like almost a lot of everyone uses it because it's just like it's just to get whatever idea you're thinking of out there and visualize it of just like the how you would like compose everything together. So
Hmm.
I think it's just like really easy to get that out there. I feel like if you do it on a post it, you can kind of just like draw the little scene and then kind of like arrange them based on whatever you're thinking of. So
Yeah. And I feel like too that it helps just spark ideas even if you end up don't following it like scene from scene. Because when I did my big video luminary project last year, I had a storyboard for each movement. There were five movements in this piece, and so there's five storyboards, and I think one of them ended up being very close to the final, but the rest of them, all fluctuated
Mm-hmm.
when once I started working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of this little like clip I've seen. I don't know if you've watched the show Regular Show. Um,
I have not known.
it's just a cartoon. It's like a one of the dumb cartoons from like when we were
I do
younger.
know what you're talking about, though.
But there's like a video somewhere where the creator has like the whole first episode storyboarded out on post-its with like dialogue and everything. And it's cool because if you watch the episode and then you see that, it's kind of like scene, like shot for shot, scene for scene, whatever, to the post-its. So I thought that was cool. And even
Yeah, that
like
is really cool.
the illustration styles like pretty similar too. So they obviously kind of took that into the final look of it. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was cool.
that is
Um,
cool that it remained like kind of that consistent all the way through.
yeah, yeah, and then it's like the Cartoon Network type of cartoons where it's pretty simple but still like
Hmm.
different, from all the other cartoons because you don't want to look like other shows and all that. So yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Like,
But yeah, I mean, for when it comes to like video creation, I pretty much only watch YouTube movies and shows. I guess that's kind of everything though. But
yeah.
like on YouTube, I don't really watch any music videos anymore. I feel like for me at least, I did that a lot when I was in like elementary school and junior high. And then I don't know why, just I don't know. I think the
I feel the
last
same.
I think the last music video I watched was in high school, and it was for the I don't know if I think he just like composed it or whatever. Um, but it's by Marshmello, and it's called Happier. I think
Hmm.
that's the last one I watched. Yeah.
I watched one not too long ago. Well, it was when it came out, but it was Sabrina Carpenter's, what's it called? Taste. Because it just showed up on my For You page. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'll listen to it. And it was actually a very funny music video. But I used to have a huge interest in those too, like watching them all the time.
Yeah,
But
and I remember some iconic like scenes or shots from some of the music videos I've watched, like um, the song "Thrift Shop" from Macklemore.
hmm
The I think it's like the very first scene or something like that where they're hopping out of the car and he's got like the big coat. I don't know why, but that one just kind of always remember that one.
yeah,
Um,
I remember, what was it, Taylor Swift's. Is the song called Bad Blood? No.
yes, it is.
It is. You know what? Have you seen that music video?
Mm.
But anyway, she got like a whole bunch of different celebrities to play like all these villains
Mm.
in the music video, and so that was something I remember because it was like, oh, I watched them in this show, and oh, that lady's from that show.
That's pretty
So it
cool.
sparked.
Is it all like?
Yeah,
Are they all actors or like artists and all that?
I think there was both actors and artists.
Because I was gonna say it was like the actors. Did they actually play like a villain or bad guy in like whatever it was based on? I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
not all of them had like played a villain
yeah,
in like the show that they were in or whatever, but
yeah,
um it's just crazy how they could fit so much storytelling though in like such a small amount of time in music videos. That's something that I'm always amazed by.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I mean, I'm trying to think of other music videos that I've seen, but honestly, the only thing that pops up in my head are the Minecraft parody videos. I watched a lot of those in elementary school, but I don't remember like any visuals like that stood out to me. I just remember watching a lot. Actually, music video that I do remember that I just remembered honestly is Gangnam Style.
Oh yeah.
I remember that one a lot, and that one's pretty dang great. And the song is great. Um, but yeah, it felt kind of just weird. Just everything in that
Yeah.
one. It was different. Very 2000 whatever, 12 or 14. I don't know. But yeah.
I remember watching like all the early 2000s Hannah Montana music
Mm,
videos. And there was that one where she did the dance and you got to follow along with the dance and everything.
okay. I don't think I've ever watched
But
Hannah Montana.
no.
No. I mean, that's Nickelodeon, right? Was that on Nickelodeon? Or was
That
that
was
Disney? Oh,
Disney.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I remember a good amount of the shows I've watched, but I don't think I ever watched that one. Um,
It wasn't one of my favorites, but I did watch it, and I do remember those music videos with the dancing. And you'd go over to your friend's house, and you'd watch the video and you do the dance
okay.
together.
I think the only like music related show I watched was Austin and Ally. I think that's it
Yeah, I do
though.
remember that one. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just watched a lot of cartoons though. A lot of cartoons.
I didn't watch a whole lot of TV growing up.
No,
Mm.
I feel like I watched a good amount of like Phineas and Ferb. It's good stuff.
I did watch Phineas and Ferb. That
Every
was
summer,
a top one.
every summer. And now I'm watching their new season that just came out, so that's
They
pretty
came out with a
great.
new one.
Yeah, I honestly don't know why. I feel like they ended it off in a pretty dang good way. But yeah, I don't really know why, but they came back with another one. Um,
Back by popular demand.
Most definitely. It is weird though, because the first episode it like shows them in school, and it's like, whoa, you've never seen them in a classroom before. This is weird. So yeah.
Yeah.
But as for the actual topic, I do think for music videos, there is a whole lot of thought behind every shot. But I mean, I just don't pay
Oh
attention to
yeah.
them. I just don't really care for music videos, I guess.
And I was thinking that's why I was kind of quiet for a second because the brain was running circles. Even though like music videos or videos aren't always made by designers, there's still a lot of like design principles that are taking part in these productions. There's some kind of visual hierarchy of things that the viewer is going to notice first or what's going to stick with them. Um, there's people behind the scenes thinking about the composition, rule of thirds, is this person going to stand, what's going to be visible in the background, those
Hmm.
sorts of little things. And I feel like there's been some music videos with like some kind of typography or even like lyric videos
I'm
um,
sure there are.
where, all that's laid out in a
I mean, even
digestible
just
way.
where, like, at the start of everything, movie shows, videos, and all that, where it's like, for music videos, it'd probably be like the title, and then like whoever it's from, and then producers and all that. There's
Mm-hmm.
still like some sort of like typographic touch to it, because you're not
Yeah,
just gonna
even like
place
credits, if
it.
there's
Yeah, you're
credits
not gonna
or
just place it in the middle of the screen and call it good.
yeah.
So there's still some like design eye to that. And then even just when it comes to like the album covers and all that, that still takes design as well. And that
Mm-hmm.
most likely translates That's probably the first thing that gets designed and then gets translated and like into how it gets shown in the video and then merch and all
Yeah,
that. So
so maybe there's some kind of visual theme that's going on that
yeah,
is going to be consistent through the album and the video.
yeah,
I think there's definitely like a visual movement to videos and like the movement and cuts and like shots and everything. It should all feel intentional and like move at a very
yeah.
consistent pace so it's not chaotic. Unless, that's the kind of thing you're going for.
Hmm.
That kind of look. But
Yeah, it's more. It's like those scenes in movies or shows where they kind of like sync actions or whatever parts of the scenes to like the audio side of the shot. So like, there's a lot of things out there that a lot of things that are happening in the scene kind of line up with the song. Like, I'm pretty sure in the movie Baby Driver they do stuff like that. Um, I mean, it's everywhere. Everyone does it because it's just a nice little touch, you know.
yeah.
I think when you sync the music beats to whatever is happening in the scene, it's just a nice little connection. Because if it's off by a little bit, or it's like lines up once, but not like the other two, three times, it's kind of like a inconsistency, I guess. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's like nice touches to have. So yeah, there's always a lot of thought,
I agree.
even with just like the audios and visuals, there's just so much that goes into it behind.
Yeah, the editing takes forever.
Yeah, all that post work. Like yeah, I'm sure getting the shots and like doing all the takes is a lot, but the amount of time you spend like on the computer, like in the studio, trying to finalize it all is a lot.
Hmm.
And even making sure you kind of like cut it at the right moment and all that.
And that there's no mistakes or no production
Yeah,
like
production
things
errors.
that shouldn't be in there, like microphones or
Yeah. I mean,
someone's Starbucks cup sitting in the background. Like,
yeah, I mean it's like a common problem. Like it still happens. You see it all over the place.
yeah,
So, and it's always like I think they're just so focused on one thing they don't like kind of like look anywhere else, and that's where they miss it. Because you do see
hmm,
a lot of people nitpicking like, you missed this whatever thing, and it's like, oh, this thing doesn't look like the something that you would find in this setting or era. So just picky people.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I will say one thing I don't, well, not don't like. One thing I always kind of look forward to, I guess, in movies and shows is kind of like how they show their title cards. Mainly because it's either like it's coming and it's kind of in like a not so good way type of way or something, or it kind of like
yeah,
hits you fast and you're like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Because I think it's kind of more, well, I guess you can feel it in both movies and shows, but there's always like this weird little pause before it happens, and it's kind of like, at least for me who kind of expects it, is now like, oh, title card's coming up, and then it shows there. But I do like it when it's kind of more sudden, because it's kind of like that cold open feel to a movie, I guess, where it's like
yeah,
the little brief intro, and then when the title card shows, it's kind of like, oh, the movie's actually starting, type of thing.
yeah.
So
The main plot is about to begin, or
yeah, yeah, and then I always, at least with shows, I don't like it when they're like the long title card type things, because I just
yeah.
skip them. Um,
The only one that I have never skipped like that because I know exactly what you're feeling. Some of them are way too long and it just is excessive and it
mm-hmm.
doesn't work. The only one I've never skipped was the low key. I think it was the outros at the end because the intro was very quick. Um, but the outro with all like those office scenes and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, it was just the music, the ambiance,
Yeah.
the aesthetic.
I feel like the
It was
way,
just there was still a lot of storytelling happening after, like
yeah.
in the outro itself. That it was just like I sat and watched it every time, and I feel like I caught something new every time.
Yeah, I feel like the way at least like Marvel with their movies, what they've been doing recently is kind of like, well, not all of them. Some of them are pretty simple, but the like first section of the credits, kind of like before their post-credit scenes, it's like a
Hmm.
very detailed kind of like way to end it. And there are kind of like hidden details, little Easter egg things that you can like spot. Um, and I do kind of like to look at it just because I like to see if there's like any Easter eggs for like future movies or stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I have noticed, at least with the shows as well, the way they end each episode is very like detailed, and they have like all these little things, and it's always cool. But
Yeah,
I think just the Loki show in general, and I'm sure I know a lot of people kind of like are on the same, you know, wavelength,
I
I
think we
guess.
might have
But
even talked about this show before, and
yeah,
just
I do think, and a lot of my friends also think it though. It is probably the best show that they've released.
yeah. I mean, I'm not even a huge like Marvel fan or anything, but just because of those elements and the consistency with those intros and outros and the music, and then the consistency inside the show itself, it just like it was memorable to me, and that design stuck out, and it
Mm-hmm.
just was. I could tell it was very intentional, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember
And it was
first
one of the
seeing
first
it.
shows to kind of do that, I think.
Yeah, and it was a great, honestly, for the story of the show, it was a really good way to use like type as well with all the
Hmm.
different typefaces, just because kind of connects to like all the different universes.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure.
but yeah, I don't think anyone's, I'm sure someone has before, but at least to the scale that they're like showing it to the
Yeah,
audience, I don't think it's ever been like this big. So,
I
yeah.
agree. It They were a great reflection of the show's themes of the
Mm-hmm.
time, the multiverses, and the different identities and everything. And it was chaotic, but controlled, and I don't know, it just worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of how like with the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse movies, like the whole comic book approach to it. It's probably the only way to approach that kind of like movie just cuz the way how it's going, I guess, but I do find it
Hmm.
funny how there are a lot of studios now. Or not so much studios, but a lot of movies are kind of being made in that similar way where it's more of that artsy look. I don't really know how they do it. I remember I watched a thing about it, but I totally forgot. But it's kind of just like it's either that comic book look where it's very like framey, I guess. You can tell like there's
Hmm.
individual frames. Or it's just like the art style is kind of similar, but not exactly. Like not the comic book art style, but I don't really know how to describe it. But I have seen it with a
It
lot
had
of shows
had
that I've
some of
seen.
those elements,
Yeah,
like whether it was just kind of like half-tone shadows,
there's similarities,
or
but it's still very different. You
hmm
know, like
you can see where the inspiration or the connection is trying to be made.
yeah, like there's a I don't know if it's a movie or a show, but it's on Netflix. Never watched it because it just never really interests me. But it's very much like Spider Verse style. And then also on Netflix, there's a show called Arcane, which is based off of a game. But that art style, it's different, not so much with like the halftones and comic book looks, but still like illustrative look to it, you know?
Hmm.
But that one is also kind of like, it's like parallel, I guess, you know? Doesn't ever like
Yeah.
intersect, but it's kind of close. And that I've also been seeing more, which I like. I do like those kinds of like visuals in movies and shows because
Mhm.
some of the art is just crazy and it's just so
Oh
nice.
yeah. What
Like,
show?
at least from the Spider-Man, uh, I think it's Across the Spider-Verse. And there's a lot of scenes in there that are just like visually pleasing, but a lot of the wide shots are nice where they're like showing New York and Brooklyn. That ones are really nice. Um,
Yeah.
or just like there's a scene where Miles is listening to music lying on his bed and like the portal opens above and everything starts glowing. I kind of like that little look they have, so
Mhm.
yeah.
There's one I'm thinking of. I watched this show like years ago. It was an okay show. It wasn't like my favorite or anything, but the intro was so good. I'm trying to figure out what it was. But the art was just,
Is it a
you
cartoon?
know, no, it wasn't a cartoon.
Interesting.
Um, it was like very illustrated,
Hmm.
um, and I thought it was kind of cool. I watched the whole way through. I mean, they do some very awkward of like they introduce like the main characters, like images of them, like on like the illustration like turns into them, which is kind of awkward, but like
Hmm.
just
Interesting.
the art style itself was kind of cool. It was called It's the First Kill opening intro.
The First Kill.
Yeah,
When did this show
kind of
come out?
3 years ago, it
Okay.
says. Here.
Interesting. It's like a sketch thing.
Yeah, and I don't know. And the sketches like kind of move, but
Yeah.
hey, it was interesting enough that I remembered it, even if I don't remember the show whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. This is a weird intro for a Netflix show, I feel like. Doesn't kind of like. I mean, like a lot of people do things differently, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just. It seems a little Disney like, I'll say.
a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. Um, yeah.
Um, what other ones?
Um, have you seen the movie The Big Lebowski?
No.
I feel like it's like the very first scene. I've only seen it once, but there's like a bowling scene, and it's not because I like bowling. I actually liked this before I liked
Sure.
bowling, but it's like like a very weird scene, and it's like I think it's set. I don't even know when this movie's like made. I'm gonna say 90s, maybe 80s. I'm not sure, but it's probably when like bowling was getting huge. But it's just like a very dramatic scene of this bowler who's like taking it serious. And I don't know why, but I find it just so funny. It's not like good scene or anything, it's just a funny scene. And
Yeah.
it's like such a weird start to the movie because like it's not really about bowling, the movie. It's like one of those like 80s 90s movies that don't really have an important plot to it. But
Yeah.
um but yeah. I think it's just funny with like just the guy, the whatever of him. It's just funny. So yeah. I don't know why I like it
Um,
so much.
hey, we all got our thing. Um, my roommates and I were watching Stranger Things last night
Mmm.
because we're trying to rewatch.
For the new
We just like
season?
started at episode one. Yeah, the new season coming out at the end of the year. season 4 wrecked me. But anyway, that intro
I've never watched it.
is you've never watched it. Oh my gosh,
Well, yeah.
you need to watch it.
Mm, mm, I don't know. Maybe.
Anyway, that intro is very like it's just like minimal typography, but it like builds so much tension in the
Mm,
intro just because the word mark of Stranger Things is being like built together with this very heavy like synth score going on in the background, so it like builds that tension and mystery. But you can kind of see like when the letters come together, like the kerning changes. They kind of like the words kind of like mesh together. Some of them are connected, and I like how the it's very simple, but the glow and the music kind of emulate like that classic VHS era, like kind of horror vibe.
mm. I don't know if this is like where I've heard it from, but the intro
Yeah.
song itself is very. I don't know where I've heard it from, but there's like space. It's like synthy space things. I'm trying to think
Yeah, it
of
does
where I've
kind of
heard it
remind me of
from.
that.
But the intro where it's like that little beat build up where it's on that low tone, I've
Hmm.
heard it somewhere.
I've heard
And
it
I feel
somewhere.
like it's more of used in memes because I feel like that's where I hear a lot of things. Um, but I'm just watching it right now. Um, is it like this on every season?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And is this just how they open it? Not open, but like do every episode, kind of like that?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And then at the end of
Interesting.
it, there's usually like a title card that comes up with like the name of the episode, and then it like zooms
Uh,
into
okay,
the title card, and then it turns into the scene afterwards.
okay, okay. I mean, it is a nice looking. Is it considered a logo? I'm gonna say logo, right?
Yeah, that's what they use.
It is nice looking, but hmm.
I just thought of that one because we watched it last night. Um, yeah,
But yeah, I've never seen it.
you should. It's very good. I didn't think I would like it either, but then I ended up loving it.
It's like the way I've seen it from the outside, because I just see clips on like Instagram, is it's like a bunch of kids who are now adults, but besides
Are
that,
still playing their 11-year-old
yeah,
selves.
they're getting killed by this one dude, and there's a girl who has superpowers. That's about all I know.
I mean, yeah, that's the main gist of it.
So yeah, that's about all I know. I feel like there's not a whole lot of things that come out of it though, like meme wise. I'll say. I mean, maybe because it's not like I'm
No,
not
it's a
like the
little more
target
serious of
audience
a
about
show.
it. But I
Yeah,
mean, even in like serious shows, they're like
I mean, there was
memes
that
that come
big
out of
one
it.
from season 4. Um, I don't know if you ever heard the Chrissy Wake Up song on social media because it was going around for a while.
Chrissy wake
Chrissy
up
Wake Up
song.
from Stranger Things. The guy in the show wasn't actually singing, but someone like altered his voice or whatever, so it sounded like he was kind of singing,
Uh huh.
and it became like a huge like TikTok reel sound for the longest time.
Interesting. I don't. Is this? This doesn't sound like it's. Is it actually in the show?
It is not actually in the
Oh,
show.
so it's
That's why
just
I
like
said
a
someone
fan made
altered it.
thing.
Yeah, but it was
Uh,
going over everything.
I will
I
say
mean,
just
at
by
least if
watching
you were
this,
watching the show and on that side.
the only thing I do recognize is the dude that plays this guy in the long hair is in the new Fantastic
Yeah.
Four movie. That's about all I know.
It has a great cast too, just in general, I
Yeah.
think.
I saw a clip though that was really interesting. Is in one of the scenes from the trailers is that he sounds, and I did hear it, but there are parts of it where he sounds like RDJ and Chris Evans, which was weird. I
Hmm.
think it was just like, I don't know, the pitch or something. It's not
The
like.
pitch.
Oh, speaking of the pitch, it's totally off topic, but did you watch Pitch Perfect?
Yes.
Okay, I remember when I watched the very first one. My mom asked me, she's like, "You want to watch a movie with me?" I was like, "Sure." What is it called though? It's like Pitch Perfect. I was like, "Oh, baseball. I'll watch a baseball movie." And then I get in there, and like the Universal thing's opening, and it's acapella. I was like, "What kind
What
of
did I get
baseball
into?
movie is this?" And I was like, "Oh." I mean, it's still good. All the Pitch Perfect movies are great, but I just remember being like, baseball movie. Okay.
Baseball movie.
And then, but yeah. So I
That's
always,
funny.
I always remember that and smile because it's just. I feel like a lot of
I can't.
people in the and who didn't like watch the trailer kind of. It sounds like a baseball movie, but it also makes
If
sense
you
for what
knew
it
no
is.
context, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't watch any trailers for it. My mom just was like, "Movie
We're
time."
watching this.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah. Um.
That was. I went to the shop the other day because my car had to get serviced, and that was playing in the little lobby that
Mhm.
you wait in.
It's just
I
such
think it was the
a.
third one though.
I think the first one's the best, and then the second and third was
The
okay.
second was okay. The third one, I was like, what?
Yeah, they're doing a little too much. It was weird because it was like
Yeah.
quarter action movie, and then three
Yeah.
quarters normal like Pitch Perfect movie. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, first one's just so good. All the jokes and everything, even the cast, is well casted.
It is very well casted.
Yeah,
Makes a difference.
it really does.
Because I've watched shows, I can't even tell you what the names are because that's how insignificant they were. Like the casting was so bad, hated
Hmm.
the characters, and you're just like, erase.
Yeah,
But I've definitely watched some.
kind of how I felt like with the Minecraft movie. I mean,
I have not watched
I think I
that.
only like the movie because of Jason Momoa, but I think that's kind of biased just because I feel like in a lot of things Jason Momoa's in, he's just like he's obviously serious in a couple things like Aquaman and like Fast and Furious, but I like it when he's more in his comedic, like dumb, goofy side, just because it was just
Hmm.
funny. Like in almost every single scene he was in, just like made me smile, just because of his like whatever. But,
Yeah.
but yeah. Um, yeah. Back to topic. Um,
You.
for at least for title cards, one thing I will say is I don't. You probably haven't watched it, but a show called Invincible on Prime Video. The first season, the way they did it was it's a superhero show, by the way. It's kind of like a. It's kind of like
I'll look it up.
Marvel superhero things, but darker, but like not as dark as like The Boys, which is a Amazon show, which
Yeah.
is like really gory.
Yes.
But I liked their title. Well, first season was kind of annoying, but basically, like every time they said the name Invincible, which is like his superhero name, the title card showed up, which was cool, but
Hmm.
sometimes it got a little
After
annoying.
I can see after a while that gets old.
Yeah, it's only like 8 episodes though. But the thing I did like about for the first season is like every episode, like a splash of blood went on it, and every episode was more blood, and that was kind of just like leading up to the final episode where it's all covered in blood, and that's kind of like symbolism to how the episode ends essentially.
Hmm. Yeah, I pulled it up. I can see that. That's kind of cool.
It's
How it
an
changes every time, but
interesting take on it. You know, it's
hmm
more of that interactive with title card and episode feel rather than the same thing every episode. Um, and then the second season was cool because this is kind of the second season was more like multiverse thing, and so like every episode it flashes to like the color style of the variants of the character,
Hmm.
so that was cool. Um, so yeah, I feel like the way
That
they
is
did their
cool.
title cards was very clever and well thought out. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The only one I can think of that's just like a title card but not like a full like video intro or outro was the show I talked to you. I don't know what episode. It was a couple episodes ago. Elsbeth.
mm-hmm.
Um, that one has a cool title card, and that one changes sometimes varying on like the topic of the episode. Most of the time it's the same, but every once in a while it would like something that was going on in the episode would pop up, especially if it was like um because usually every episode was like a different like crime or whatever, but if it was one that was spanning over like multiple episodes, that's when I noticed things
Mm,
like popping up in the title card,
that's
because it
cool.
was like a looming problem, I think.
Interesting.
But it's just like the city skyline and Elsbeth, the name Elsbeth comes up behind the skyline.
Oh, okay.
Super simple,
Ooh,
but every once in a while something would be thrown in there.
yeah. That actually, well, it's not similar, but that just reminds me of the like. Have you seen the show Emily in Paris on Netflix?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of how every episode they do it. It's not so much a title card. But I like the way how they implement the logo, word mark, whatever into the
Yeah,
scene.
I
I like
I
that.
do like that a lot. I noticed that.
And even just the way it looks. It's so simple but so nice. I like
Mhm.
that. Um,
And yeah, I like how they mess with it sometimes. Like sometimes there's kind of like a
yeah.
transparency over it,
They
or
change
it's
the
kind of
colors every
overlapping an
episode.
object.
Or
Yeah.
there's like a funky, like the stripe pattern, I think was one episode. So I like that one. That one was cool.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing dramatic. Nothing where it's like cuts the scene. It's literally just like it pans up or something from the scene before.
Yeah.
And then it's there. And it's kind of like nice and fluid. So I like that.
It's kind of cool that there's some shows that definitely, change it and, have intention
Yeah.
with the title card because like every episode is different.
Hmm.
It's not the same
Yeah.
title card isn't going to represent every episode, especially if you get into a much bigger story. So it's kind of cool that some shows have started doing that of treating the title card or whatever different depending on the episode or the theme or the story that they're trying to tell.
Yeah, it's very much like the original idea type stuff, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, technically everything's original idea, but at least with like all the Star Wars and Marvel shows that I watch, it's the same thing, and I always skip it. And God, some of them are long. Like,
Yeah.
I always like to watch on the first one just to see like
What
what
it
it
is.
looks like and
Yeah.
how it all flows. And some of them are insanely long, and it's like, why is it so long? And why
Yeah.
is it the same one every episode? Like, we obviously know who's in it by this third episode, so you don't have to do that dramatic credits thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know if that's
You know
me
what I'm so
nitpicking,
glad
but
that they don't do anymore? On older movies, the credits are before the movie starts and you have to sit there for 5 minutes before the movie starts.
uh,
I'm glad they don't do that anymore.
some people do. I watched the Mission Impossible movie,
Oh,
and they do that. But it's more of like the main characters, but I mean, it's still the same thing. And it's also
yeah.
in like the style of the title card, which is interesting. I did. I don't know if anyone else kind of like noticed this, but when I was watching it, it was so hard to read things in that sequence with like the way it was like very
In which one?
orange. The new Mission Impossible movie.
Oh,
You, did you watch that one?
yes, I
You
have seen
did?
that one. Yeah, yeah,
When it was doing like all the flashing lights with all the
yeah.
actors, I could barely read the names because it's like orange outline and I think like a white like offset thing behind it. But the whole background's orange and like white. So I don't know.
It just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, and they had like this glitch effect, and
Yeah,
I think I read Tom
they're trying to
Cruise, and then I was like, yeah, Tom Cruise, and then that's it.
trying to do too much.
Yeah, a little bit too much, just a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to move on to the font of the week? I think we
Sure.
thoroughly talked about some video stuff.
Yeah, yeah. More movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like movies, you know? Okay, font of the week.
I'll go
Um,
first.
yes. This week was Darka. Um, honestly, I struggled. I really
Really,
struggled.
I really liked this one.
I was like, yes, black letter, you know, kind of pumped up about it. Um, and then once I started like typing with it, I was like, ooh, this is gonna get hard. Cause like
Yeah.
what I said
It's
before,
not for everything.
no, it definitely isn't. But like as I was saying before, I wanted to do like a business card size thing. But when you scale this down, it's pretty hard to read, just because of the weight of everything.
Hmm.
And I was like, damn it. Like, guess I'm not. And I didn't want to do a poster. I wanted to do something else, but I was like, screw it. I was
It's a
literally,
poster.
yeah. I think I was sitting here for probably like an hour trying to just mess with a bunch of different ideas. And I was like, none of this is working. I don't know what to do. I was like, screw it. I'm going to do a poster. Because original idea was like, I wanted to do like a little funny little comment or saying as like what I usually would do, and but obviously using this serious look and putting it together. And as I was like typing things out, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. So scratch that, and I just went with the poster. So yay,
Yeah.
simple and easy. So yeah, so for my poster, I took a quote from uh, a comedian Shane Gillis. He has a special on Netflix, and one of his like bits was about how he was in Australia for a tour. He was wearing a bucket hat, and an Australian comes up and like takes off his hat, puts it back on, and he goes like, "Nice hat, fatso." And the guy was like making fun of him. And looked at him, and he's like a 6 foot goth Australian, and he was like saying something like, "Dude, you can't be goth," or something. He's like, "You sound funny," or whatever, because like the Australian accent. And then he was
Yeah.
going and saying like, "You can't be going around being like, all I think about is death," or something like that. And it was like he's just a really funny bit. So I kind of just took that. So he just says like, he's like making fun of them, saying like, all I think about is death, and he's like, "Shut up, dude, you sound funny. You can't be saying that stuff." Um, and I thought that was funny because honestly, when I look at black letters, I just think of like the Grim Reaper type stuff, black,
Yeah.
white, red, death, blood, stuff like that.
Vampires.
Yeah,
Scary, creepy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why that came up. Um, I was like, okay, I think I can work with that. And then I saw something similar like this with the white text behind it and the red text on top of it. I was like, I'm just gonna do that because why not? But I did kind of want to
It's a nice
make,
contrast.
yeah, I do think the white is a little bright, but I think if I use gray, it wouldn't look that great.
No,
Um,
disappear into the black background.
yeah, so, but I did do like I did like the 3D bevel thing. I was messing with it for a while because I kind of wanted it to look a certain way, but then I just gave up because I do not understand that thing. Um, but I kind of wanted to do like coming out of the shadow look type thing.
Hmm.
So I pretty much just moved the light all the way to the right. So part of the letters is like you can't see it because of the shadow and all that. I was like,
Hmm.
good enough. Um, so yeah, and I like the way this looks in lowercase though. Like
Oh,
I
I really love how it looks in lowercase. Because I'm glad you did the all I think about is at the top and then the shut up duty sound funny in the lowercase because I think it would have, if there was any capitals in there, you
I
would have,
just
your eye
wanna
instantly would have went there
yeah
instead of in the middle.
yeah, and I was like messing with like I was trying to find which of the best capital letters look the best because honestly I'm not a fan of some of these letter forms at least with the caps
Hmm.
like the H it's just a giant lowercase h, which fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But my favorites were O and S, and I was really trying to work with that, but nothing was working. And I was like, all right, whatever. So yeah, but I was like, I'm just gonna use the lowercase form for the little text just to kind of like showcase the typeface. Um, so yeah, and I do like how the descender thing on the F and the P is like long and it's like blood dripping or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's a nice little thing. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else.
No.
Um,
I like it's very contrasty, very on theme
and
with,
simple.
I don't know, in sync with the typeface.
Yeah, yeah, definitely on theme. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was a nice little one.
Yeah. For mine, I didn't do a poster. I did like an album cover because we kind of talked about that last week. Not that it's specifically for any like band or I came up with a musician or an artist or whatever, but just kind of that style. I found this image of, well, Darka in general, the typeface, like, is very eerie to me. It kind of just like gives these dark, quiet vibes. So I was just like scrolling through some images and I found this one of these two swans in this very foggy, eerie looking like lake. Um, and so I was like, ooh, I really like that. I'll use that. And I put this like glossy like paper texture over the top of it and it kind of darkened it up even more. Gave it this like green, the image just kind of green tone, which I really liked. And then in the center in Darka, it says, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but Eile Don, which in Gaelic means young swan.
Mm.
And I found, and I just, I don't know, that felt very fitting for this image and just like the feeling it gives in general, like kind of this like silence or like, sense of you're lost or something. And so I thought, Young Swan kind of went with that. And maybe through this hypothetical album, there's some kind of realization or growth or whatever. But underneath that, in a different font, I put a lyric to a song that I found, a Gaelic song about a young swan. And it says, under the October twilight, the water mirrors the still sky. And I thought that went along with the image. Then there's the date and sad design up at the top in Darka as well. But very simple. I guess all the type is in this very bright yellow color, which is a very stark contrast against, the imagery in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the little subtext thing, mainly because I was trying to find like another font that would pair well with this, and I was like, hmm. And I was just messing around with them, but that one actually works really nicely.
Yeah.
And yeah, then having that, just that little texture thing over it does look nice. Just gives it that sleeve look to
Yeah, the
the
sleeve look.
thing.
Hmm.
Which I mean, like in when you like go to print, it's not there, but this is like visualizing as if it were in there. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the 15? Is that the Darka number?
Yes.
Interesting. I actually didn't even look at the numbers. But yeah, those are nice. I like the numbers.
Yeah. I even typed out 1-800 sad design in it. Don't use the capitals, use the lowercase. And it was actually like not bad.
Yeah, honestly, I was messing with it and trying to like use this in a sentence did not look that great. And almost like two, maybe three words next to each other is pretty much. I mean, there's more you can do with it, but it's kind of like what you're limited to. You know, you can't
Hmm.
do a whole lot of body copy or any of that type of stuff. So very nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually do really like the that bright yellow on it too.
I do too. I'm into like the bright yellow lettering on top of stuff lately because that's like the second font of the week, I think, in the last 2 or 3 episodes that I've used that bright yellow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of like a current style trend. I think is kind of like muted, monotony background type stuff and bright text over it with all like everything on top of the image or whatever is like the same
Hmm.
color and bright. I feel like I've seen a good amount of stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen it places that I really like it and I've been using it more and I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah, and I also
It just
do.
stands out.
Yeah, and I like how the circle in the center that kind of is like outlining the actual record or disc that it would be in is nice because it gives you like spaces on the corners to put stuff.
Hmm.
Because like if it were a real thing, that's like space to put that explicit thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you can put like producer logos or whoever like made the record or stuff like that. So
Yeah, I agree.
that's nice. I know. Shoulda. Well, you did say you did kind of just make this up, but I was gonna say, what does the back look like?
Doesn't exist.
That's fine though.
Next time. No.
Yeah. I know it is crazy though for like people who do design these sleeves is the front, back, and the inside. You know,
Hmm.
whether it's just when it's like a CD, it's just the front and back or stuff like that. Well, even then, like, I mean, yes, I do think a lot of people are going back to that retro feel with like CDs and records, mainly records. But like probably I don't know, pre-COVID, everyone was all Spotify, Apple Music, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like only recently all this retro, quotes, retro stuff is coming back. So yeah, very nice though.
Thank you. For the next font of the week, we chose Alta California on Adobe. And this one's interesting because every character is different. And it's very grungy and textured. And,
Very much like skateboard magazine,
yeah.
California skateboard, you know, beach stuff. I don't know.
I actually used this one in a project a little while back.
You did?
Hmm.
Nice. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with this one yet, but
I don't know what I'm going to do this time around either.
I'll think of something. Maybe I get to finally do a business card thing that I want to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that one will be interesting.
Or it's not really a business card. Handout? I don't know. But yeah. I wonder though if you
Yeah.
could pick like probably not, but if it's like each letter has a couple different
Oh, I wonder. I
glyphs
didn't
where you
look
can
into
kind of
that.
like change it. That'd be cool. But I also think that's a little too much.
Yeah.
I'm asking for a little too much. But yeah.
All right. If you're not a subscriber already, go subscribe to our Patreon, where we have some bonus episodes. We have a bonus episode series going on right now, which we need to record the next one. But Ty and I's goal to create as many posters as we can in an hour is still ongoing.
Capping at 50 though,
Yeah,
each.
we're doing 50 each.
Yeah, we're not going to keep it going because
We're
it's
not going to go
tough.
on
It's
forever.
tough.
We have to end at some point. But that one was very fun. So, more episodes to come in that series. If you're not a subscriber already either, we have a sticker pack waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and also join the Discord server for any reminders or updates. Post your fun of the weeks to share. Use the vent line to get in contact with us and to be featured on the show. And as always, too, an Instagram recap of this episode will be posted the same time the episode is released, where you could see our fun of the weeks and just a brief, summary of what we talked about and any other updates or things we might have talked about throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm. I will say, another thing that when I was trying to do this fun of the week was I was trying to think of a couple sticker ideas for it,
Oh,
or
okay.
just a
So,
merch thing in general, but I was like, I don't really know if I want to use this one for it.
yeah,
I was also like, what could you use? So, but yeah. Because I'm trying to think of new sticker designs, but I don't know.
they'll come.
Yeah, it'll come eventually. I just gotta wait. Gotta be patient. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Anything else for today, Ty?
I think that's it. I think that's it.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in to 1-800 Sad Design. Until next time, keep designing, stay inspired, and dial into design. Bye.
Bye.